This is the video notes for lesson 14.2 on how to get y alone. Let's go to example 1, remembering all solving really begins with junk and divide. So as we look at example 1, we're going to draw the wall. Now remember, the difference between this one and the other ones is that now we're not solving for x, we're actually solving for y. So we are trying to get y alone. So again, if we understand the concept of junk, the other term is the junk. So how do you make negative 4x disappear? Add 4x or positive 4x, however you want to say it. Whatever you do to one side of the wall, you do to the other. For us, this is not a big deal. We cross this out, we end up with 3y on one side, and this is where it gets tricky. So normally we would be combining these two, 21 plus 4x. However, we're not allowed to. Hopefully some of you guys are saying it's because they're not like terms, and you're correct. So the question is, how do we write 21 plus 4x without actually combining them? The rule is, whatever you say, you just write it sideways. So in my mind, I'm thinking 21 plus 4x. I'm going to take that and literally write it sideways. 21 plus 4x. And that's it. That takes care of the junk step. The last step is divide. So obviously we're going to divide by 3. The rule is, whatever you do to one side, you do to the whole other side. Meaning, you can't just pick or choose which one you want to divide by 3. You have to divide by 3, and you have to divide by 3. So we always say fraction bar 3, fraction bar 3, fraction bar 3. From here, we let the calculator do the work. Y equals. And again, if you're great with numbers, do it. 21 divided by 3 is 7. If you're terrible with numbers, put them in your calculator. We typically will make my kids put these into calculators. Plus 4 divided by 3, or positive 4 divided by 3. The calculator will spit out a decimal. In this case, it ends up being 1.3 repeating. But we know we like our slopes in fraction. So this converts back to 4 over 3. It doesn't change, which means it couldn't be reduced. But again, if you're great with fractions, you don't have to worry about it. If you're terrible with fractions, let the calculator do the work. And this is the final answer. Y equals 7 plus 4/3 x. It's very possible your teacher will want you to turn everything into slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b, where you would actually flip the x and the constant. I typically don't worry about this step right here. Either is correct, one's just more in a technical slope-intercept form. Let's take a look at the next example. Example 2. Let's stick with our rules. We draw the wall and do what we always do. Again, we're trying to get y alone, so this is the junk. How do you make 17 disappear? Subtract 17. Now here you'll notice when we get rid of the 17, we end up with 25 minus 17. Unlike the previous problem, these two numbers can be combined. 25 minus 17 is simply 8. Again, that's the junk step, and now we divide. Fraction bar negative 2, fraction bar negative 2. Do our normal thing, and y equals negative 4. Y is alone. Let's see the curveballs on getting y alone. The first one, example 3, is all about understanding invisible negative ones. So again, let's go through our normal steps. We're going to simply draw the wall, locate the junk. Remember, we're trying to get y alone, and get rid of it. Whatever we do to one side, we do to the other. And this is the part. When you cannot combine these two, you say it and write it sideways. 17 minus 3x equals, and don't forget to bring the negative sign down. Now again, there's our first step is junk, second step is divide. You guys remember from the previous lessons, this is really an invisible -1. So, fraction bar -1, fraction bar -1, fraction bar -1. Again, you can let the calculator do the work, or if you're good with numbers in your head. We end up with a -17, and the two negatives actually creates a positive 3x. And again, your teacher may prefer that you write it in a different order. 3x minus 17. Let's take a look at example 4. Okay, so again, we're going to draw our wall. Get rid of the junk. In this case, the 8x is the junk, so we subtract 8x from both sides. Now, you have to be smart about where you put this 8x. You're going to either put it underneath the 3x or the 8. Clearly, like term says, we should put it under the x. Do our thing. Y equals 3 minus 8 gives you the minus 5x plus 8. What's great about this is there is no division, so we're done. Next, example 5. Now, we're going to draw the wall again, and you're going to see that this is a little confusing. Here's my y. Now I have two pieces of junk. I have the positive 8, and I have the 3x. Now, some kids prefer to get rid of it in one step, where you can do minus 8 and a minus 3x. And some people prefer to do one at a time, where you could just get rid of the minus 3x or the minus 8. I'm going to do them both. We're also going to be smart about this. Which one of these, when I write it to the other side, is going to go under the 5? Obviously, the regular number should go with the regular number. So, whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. Normal stuff. 2y equals, and again, let the calculator do the work, 5 minus 8, negative 3. There are no other x's, so we just bring down the minus 3x. That takes care of the junk. And again, you can do this in two separate pieces or one altogether. Then we're going to do our divide step. Divide by 2, fraction bar 2, fraction bar 2, fraction bar 2. And again, I have my kids put this in the calculator. If they see decimals, this ends up being negative 1.5. I'll show you right here. And I have my kids convert it. It ends up being the exact same thing. Same thing with this. This also converts to negative 1.5 or negative 3/2. And there we go. You are now officially ready to get Y loan.